Everyone in the entire universe can agree on 3 simple things. French toast is the best breakfast food, Aaron Rodgers should have retired before going to the Jets, and Pip is the worst character in the South Park universe.
I bet I could spit the most on him.
Pip makes the 2024 Chicago White Sox look good in comparison. Pip might be a massive dookie stain on the South Park universe, but he's an important character for the show's development. Okay, maybe not, but Pip does pave the way for one of South Park's greatest characters to really shine. The way I see it, Pip really only has 2 major arcs in his character development. He doesn't really have a rise and a fall because he was never on the rise to begin with. South Park is a delectable bowl of Captain Crunch, and Pip is the piece constantly slicing the roof of your mouth. Many South Park fans claim that Pip's very own episode is the worst of the entire series. Shockingly, Pip has been there since the very beginning. But many people don't know that Pip wasn't forgotten about. He's actually been dead for years. But first, we must dive into the mind of someone who thinks it's reasonable to put beans and cheese on a baked potato. It should be mandatory prison time for anyone who refers to French fries as chips. Today we're taking an extended look at one of South Park's most hated characters, Pip. Let's stop wasting time and let's jump right into the video. If you enjoy this type of content, be sure to subscribe. Doctors say that subscribing is the #1 way to prevent early onset baldness. All non-subscribers will go bald 30 days after hearing this message unless you forward this video to 10 friends. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know what characters you want to see next in the comments below. Join our Discord if you want to help us count to 1 million, one message at a time. As always, huge shout out to our channel members and Patreons for their continued support. I really appreciate it. I didn't believe this when writing the script for this video, but Pip has been in South Park since the premiere episode. Pip's full name is Philip Pirup, which is about the most British thing since beans on toast. I'm not gonna lie, beans on toast actually doesn't sound too bad. The beans are done. They're heated, as you can see from the heat on the beans. We have our toast cut into triangles, and I'm gonna put the beans on the toast as the recipe suggests. Are you supposed to use a fork when you eat beans on toast? Pip's character is heavily based on the protagonist from Charles Dickens' novel Great Expectations. If I didn't have a Midwest education or a TikTok rotted attention span, maybe I'd give this book a try. Pip is a major character in the early seasons of South Park. He's one of the few non-main characters to have a speaking role in the unaired pilot of the show. Pip is a foreign exchange student at South Park Elementary. Since Pip is different, and that's a bad thing to the kids of South Park, Pip serves a vital role as the punching bag of the town. Despite being constantly bullied by other kids at the school, Pip is usually a nice kid.
I bet I can spit in his hair. Oh, nice try. A little higher and you've got it.
Pip does hit his breaking point in the Season 2 episode Conjoined Fetus Lady. Pip goes full Super Saiyan mode after the boys constantly call him French. I can imagine there's no worse crime than calling a British person French. In Super Saiyan mode, Pip defeats the Chinese dodgeball team in a singular throw. Despite being the butt of every joke, Pip does have friends in Butters and Dougie. The outcasts at the school gotta stick together. Butters was an even more minor character than Pip at this point. Much like the town of South Park, Pip was very disliked by the fans as well. People find Pip's voice annoying. And Pip was honestly created to be disliked.
Oh, good day, Damien. My name is Philip, but everyone calls me Pip because they hate me.
They tried to give Pip his own episode, and it flopped harder than the WNBA without Caitlin Clark. I'll cover that painful train wreck later in this video, so stay tuned. One of Pip's main issues is that he is just overly polite. He is a walking British stereotype, and this is no exception. Pip doesn't show any emotion as a character. Sure, he gets knocked down, but he gets back up and nothing changes. There's no dynamic with this character. He rarely gets upset, unless, you call him French, of course. This alleged quote by the late great Abraham Lincoln summarizes it very well. If Pip has 1 million haters, then I'm one of them. If he has 10 haters, then I'm one of them. If he only has 1 hater, then that is me. If Pip has no haters, then that means I am no longer on the earth. Now, there isn't any evidence that Abe Lincoln said this, but there also isn't any evidence that he didn't say this. Let's take a look at the first episode where Pip was a main focus to really spotlight Pip in the early era. We're heading into the Season 1 episode, Damien. Cartman is inviting people to his birthday party, and immediately the bullying of Pip has begun.
Let's see. Pip's invitation. Oh, I remember. I shoved it up my ass.
The animation actually doesn't look too bad for an almost 30-year-old episode. A new student named Damien is joining the class. Mr. Garrison making fun of Alabama here really explains a lot about my sense of humor.
And where are you from, Damien?
The seventh layer of hell.
Oh, that's exciting. My mother was from Alabama.
Damien is the son of Satan, and he has some diabolical powers. Damien, being the new kid, is being shunned by the other kids and decides to sit with Pip at lunch. Pip should really leverage a potential friendship with the son of literally Satan to improve his social standing at the school. Stan and Kyle turn to Jesus for help against Damien. Oh yeah, Damien turned Kenny into a duck-billed platypus. That doesn't really come into play later, but I figured I'd mention it. Oh, in the early seasons of South Park, they used to hide these aliens in the episodes, and I happened to see one on this rewatch, blowing in the tornado winds.
Bye.
Jesus decides that the only way to stop Satan is to challenge him to a boxing match. Satan shows up to the weigh-in, and the entire town is now skeptical. You see, they all previously put money on Jesus to win the fight, and now they're having doubts about their bets. Mr. Mackey saying he helped Pip fit in only to cut away to the other kids spitting on Pip is pretty funny here. Remember when I said the animation doesn't look too bad? Well, look at the folks in the bar here. You can really tell here that this is a season 1 episode. Jesus is mad at the town for betting on Satan to win the fight. Everyone is at Eric's birthday party except for Pip and Damien. Damien realizes in order to fit in, he just has to act like everyone else and mercilessly bully Pip. They both go to Eric's party where Damien summons demonic spirits to throw Pip in the air and he explodes like a firework. You know, normal 3rd grade birthday party shenanigans. Somehow Pip miraculously survives and everyone heads to the Satan vs. Jesus fight. Jesus is largely losing the fight, but he delivers one incredibly light blow and knocks Satan down, winning the fight. Turns out Satan is more corrupt than people who take more than one free sample at Costco. Who would have seen that one coming? Satan doing something evil. It turns out Satan bet on Jesus to win the fight, and he's taking the winnings to buy some real estate in hell. This episode really highlights the entirety of Pip's character. His sole reason for existing is to be the brunt of the joke. The worst part about Pip is that he just happily and willingly accepts this treatment from the other kids. When he was getting spat on, he was encouraging them the whole time like he was into it. Hey, we don't kink shame here at the Buckoverse. I get why people hate Pip. He doesn't make any inclination to stand up for himself or to change his behavior, and he just lacks a personality outside of being a target for the main boys. Alright, we have the beans on toast. First taste and official review of the beans on the toast. You're supposed to eat it with a fork, I guess. It just tastes like baked beans on a piece of toast. I don't know what is special about this. I feel like I'm actively rationing for World War III. I'm gonna rank it a 4 out of 10. I probably would not ever make this again. I'm largely disappointed. This next era of Pip takes place about the start of season 4. Pip is considered to be one of the Melvins of the school, and undesirable to be seen hanging around with. Pip truly faded out of existence with the emergence of one of South Park's greatest characters of all time, Butters. In the season 3 episode, 2 Guys Naked in a Hot Tub, I really hope my neighbors aren't hearing me read this out of context. Stan is forced to hang out with Butters, Dougie, and Pip. In this episode, Pip is very much overshadowed by the emergence of Butters. With the audience and seemingly the writers growing tired of Pip, Butters begins to fill the role previously held by Pip. Butters has always been in the show ever since the first episode, but he rarely had any lines. The issue for Pip was that his character and Butters were very similar, but Butters was just a better version that the audience liked. Butters was Pip, but with a great personality. Pip just doesn't have the kindness and the optimism that Butters has. They were both water, but Butters was Fiji, and Pip was Dasani. And I'd rather drink from a puddle of water on the ground than ever drink a bottle of Dasani. With Butters filling the same role, there was no more screen time afforded to Pip. Around season 4, South Park was starting to find its footing more and really hit their stride. Unfortunately for Pip, he was designated to a heavy background character role. Pip faded into obscurity more and more as new interesting characters joined the classroom, such as Jimmy and Timmy. Shockingly, Pip did make it to the final rounds of the game show the boys put on to pick their 4th new best friend after Kenny died. Ultimately, he didn't get picked because he requested tea and crumpets at a baseball game. Pip majorly suffered from being a one-note character, and the joke was getting old. There are only so many times you can poke fun at the stereotypes his character presents before it starts to get stale. I'm curious to hear from any British viewers on their thoughts on Pip and the show as a whole. Even though Pip's usage declined in season 4, he was shockingly given one last chance to prove himself with his very own episode. The fate of Pip rested entirely on one episode, and man was it an absolute masterclass in being one of the series' most hated and unwatchable episodes. The season 4 episode titled Pip is widely known as one of South Park's worst episodes ever. Surprisingly, it is tied for the 8th worst IMDb rated episode of the entire series. This will be my first time covering this beautiful tragedy on the channel, and I think only my second time ever watching this episode. I would rather be mowing my lawn than watching this episode, and that's saying a lot, but let's reluctantly dive in. This episode is narrated by a British person, or so he claims. The narrator tells us that Pip is from the Charles Dickens novel Great Expectations. The animated portion of the episode starts with Pip in his home village on his way to see his parents. Pip's parents must be related to Spider-Man's because, well, they're dead. Pip frees a chained up criminal he found in the graveyard. Remember this because it comes into play later. I assume these folks are Pip's orphan mother and father. To be honest, it's really hard to understand any of the characters outside of Pip so far. Pip is sent to an estate to look for work, where he is belittled by another young gal. That gal's name is Estella. Over time, Pip falls in love with Estella, who absolutely hates him. The old lady seems to enjoy the thought of Estella breaking Pip's heart eventually. She sends Pip to London to learn how to be a gentleman. Mr. Pocket is Pip's roommate in London, and for some strange reason, he looks like Timmy Turner to me. Mr. Pocket talks incredibly fast, and I found myself checking out my Clash of Clans base while he was yapping. I'm currently upgrading to Town Hall level 10. I don't know how many levels it goes up to, but 10 feels pretty high up there, right? After Pip learns to be a gentleman, the old lady tells Pip to find Estella at the ball. Her end goal is to break Pip's heart. Pip's backstory is really tragic, I think. Estella with an older American boyfriend is the first slightly funny bit of this entire episode.
Hey, Estella, let's get out of here.
All right, Steve, just one moment.
Pip's heartbroken, playing into the weird old lady's twisted fantasy. Back at the blacksmith house, the criminal Pip helped is there. Turns out he is the one who sent him to London to become a gentleman. So Pip and the Walmart Avengers go to save Estella from the old lady. She's gonna fuse their bodies together or mend their souls to be younger or something. I don't know, it's hard to follow. Pip eventually convinces Estella she does have a heart, causing her to leave the body swap machine. This causes the old lady to burn up, ending her poor, miserable life. Is this really how the book went? I was wondering if Mr. Pocket ever cameoed in another episode, but the narrator adds in the fact that he died of hepatitis B off screen. When people say this episode is worse than running a marathon with wet socks, they are exactly right. Half of the characters' dialogue I can't understand, either because of heavy accents or because they're screaming it at me. There are almost no jokes in this entire 20-minute disaster. For an episode entirely centered around one of South Park's background characters, it does very little in any way of giving him a backstory. Pip as a character doesn't really have any strengths, so there really isn't much to work with here. I can respect the attempts of doing live bits and having a narrator, even if it doesn't add much to the experience. If this episode was Pip's chance to show the fanbase what he had to offer, this was a complete miss. With everyone quickly falling in love with Butter's character, Pip had to deliver on this episode, and this just isn't it. How fitting that the worst character in the series stars in one of the worst episodes of the series. I would assume that many people believe that Pip was simply written off the show over time, but that's just not true. South Park has a few banned episodes over the nearly 30 years it has been on the air. The episodes 200 and 201 are among those episodes. These episodes were meant to be a culmination of South Park and a celebration of hitting 200 episodes. But due to threats from portraying a religious prophet, these episodes were banned shortly after airing. In the episode 201, Pip makes an appearance and has his second voice lines in the past 8 years of the show's runtime. Pip shows up at a very unfortunate time and tells the Mecha Barbra Streisand to stop destroying the town. Much like myself when the Domino's Pizza shows up, Mecha Streisand was on a ravenous rampage. Mecha Streisand did not consider Pip's words and proceeded to step on him. While being stepped on might be an enjoyable time for some, again we do not kink shame here in the Buckoverse, Pip was crushed under the weight of Mecha Streisand, leaving his bloodied body behind and out of the South Park universe for good. Pip had a truly difficult journey during his run in the South Park cinematic universe. Pip was the series punching bag until his unfortunate demise. Pip never really had much going for him. His lack of personality ended up getting him written out of the show completely. Pip got no love in the early seasons, but somehow he was still given his own episode. At least Pip will forever live in South Park history as headlining one of the worst episodes the series has ever seen. Pip faded into a pure background character before the great teacup in the sky decided it was his time to go. At the very least, we can take solace in knowing that Pip paved the way for Butters to emerge as one of the series' all-time greats. If you want to see more videos like this, drop any ideas or suggestions in the comments below. If you enjoy the content, please be sure to subscribe. It helps me out a ton. Lastly, if you want to join our growing community, a link to the Discord is in the description. Click another video to show the almighty YouTube algorithm who's boss. Thanks for watching. Go ahead. I like the beans though.